Hi guys, you're welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Yvonne Princess Shabango. If you are new here, you're welcome to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And voila, you're part of the graceful, the beautiful, and the wonderful family. We are back again with another book review, right? You know the most important question. You must always ask yourself, why are you picking that book up? What's prompting you? So you'll ask yourself, why did I pick this book up? So we are reviewing a book, All Hope is Found, by Sarah Jakes Roberts, one of my faves. Like, if you know me, you know I love me a good sermon by Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts, like literally an ultimate fave. So when I picked this book up, it's because it's her. Like, I mean, I follow her work, I enjoy her work. Like, she's carried me in my darkest seasons. So I, like, you know, and I always want to know what she has to say, or I always want to share in her experiences. So when I saw that she's releasing a book, I was like, I'm interested. And then when I saw the title, All Hope is Found, most of the time it's like, all hope is lost. That's a phrase, that's the common and popular phrase that people use, right? But when I saw her say all hope is found, for me it was like, oh my goodness, this is it, I need this. And also I'm in a season whereby for me 2024 is a time where I've told myself that it's going to be a good year. You know, it's going to be a good year in my career, it's going to be a good year in my life. It's just going to be a beautiful year. I'm filled with hope for things to go well, hope for lessons, hope for elevation, hope for growth, hope for healing. Like, I'm just filled with so much hope. So there was no other book I could have been reading at the beginning of the year. As you guys know, I'm reading like 26 books this year. So this was like my second year. Yeah, it was my second book, sorry. It was my second book that I read this year. So like, yeah man, like when I saw the title I was like, let's go for it, right? So and then I asked myself a simple thing, right? What am I hoping to achieve with this book, right? Why did I pick it up? We've answered that. And what am I hoping to achieve with this book, right? I'm hoping to stimulate hope for growth, hope for expansion in my career, expansion in Employment Wednesday. If there's anything, guys, on brand, I even have a tattoo of an anchor, gracefully anchored on brand. Like, for me, the biggest thing, like in my life, my biggest calling and purpose, it has to be on that one, because I believe that God has called me to serve people. God has called me to help people find jobs. I want to elevate to a place where I will give people jobs. I will help people find jobs. I will help people keep their jobs. And then I will also help people start their own businesses. So that is my hope for my future, my plans and stuff. So also when I saw this title, I was like, you know what? That's what I'm hoping to achieve, to stimulate that hope, to stimulate the strong belief and the strong goals that I have for Employment Wednesdays. Literally, like, that's on par. And then also to stimulate hope for access to opportunity, because sometimes we become so hopeless that we don't care, like we don't even think or hope to get opportunities. We're just like, it's 6 and 9, you know. But for me, I was like, you know what, I'm hoping that I attract opportunity. I'm hoping that I understand that I am enough and I am deserving of opportunity. I'm deserving of growth. I'm deserving of elevation. Guys, actually tell yourself this. I am deserving. I am deserving of elevation. I am deserving of growth. I am deserving of good things. I am deserving of money. I am deserving of growth. I am deserving of expansion. I am deserving of grace. I'm deserving of creativity. I am deserving of networking. Like, tell yourself you deserve these things and position yourself, literally. Like, and sometimes it all starts with hope. You sit there, you hope that it works out. Actually, maybe it will, you know. So that's that. And also my hope was to be able to help people get jobs, keep their jobs, and also at some point hire people. So for me, it was like, you know what, I'm hoping to stimulate that, because I already have hope for that. But with this book, I literally told myself I'm hoping to stimulate that, right? And then also, now we're going to go into the book, like the detail of the book, right? One of my first takeouts, I was like, ooh, I'm in for a treat, right? Was the fact that I learned that God is in the little details, guys. God makes no mistake. Like this morning, I was reflecting, right, on my journey, like my career journey, how I ended up here and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh my goodness, God has left me signals, notes. Like, if you told me that I would be a labor specialist, I wouldn't have thought about it. But when I think about it, when I started Employment Wednesday, it was like, a hobby because I love helping people. I love speaking. I love sharing information. So it was like a hobby. So for God to drag me out of that hobby and formalize it and put me in a position whereby I actually get to learn the real stuff and be able to share and impact people, that was like, and God prepared for me for this for like from a very long time. Like I think God started preparing me for this from the day I was born, right? But when I think about it, right, number one, sometime in 2020, like speaking on employment Wednesdays, right, looking at hope and growth and all of that. In 2021, I started my articles. When I started my articles, my boss wife was pregnant at the time. She's like not a labor specialist, but she's an activist, women rights in the workplace. That's her type of stuff, family law and stuff, right? So she needed to be interviewed on radio. She had to be interviewed on radio on regarding women's rights in the workplace, particularly pregnant women, right? So, and then she couldn't do it because she was heavily pregnant. She was on maternity. So then her husband, who was my previous principal at the time, then says, Yvonne will do it. Guys, like literally, like I had never said I'm a podcaster, I'm a YouTuber or anything. He just saw potential. He saw that I'm well spoken and said, you know what, read up on this. I'm gonna take a chance on you. And I was on radio and it was so amazing. I did the interview, it was so great. Even one of the directors who so hard to impress was listening in. He was so impressed, he even bought us lunch. It was so beautiful. So that's the thing, God is in the little details, guys. And when I think about it, I was in the radio interview for women's rights in the workplace. What is employment about? It's about jobs, it's about educating people about their careers, career development, career strategies and stuff like that. What am I doing in my profession? I'm a labor specialist, but I mastered in banking law. Like, you can tell that God has slowly but surely. And when you look at the creative side of it, me doing this video, like back then, like I think from primary school, we used to attend an aftercare program whereby whereby I would go there and would act. I used to be one of the best like people that act. I enjoyed speaking, I enjoyed mimicking people and stuff like that. What am I doing right now? I'm recording a video for YouTube. I've just gotten into the podcasting space. So like, God is in the little details, guys. Sometimes you don't need this dramatic voice that's gonna come and say, Yvonne, stop what you're doing. Yvonne, do this, move there, and all of that. It's in the little details. Sometimes you just have to get up and do what you're supposed to do and trust that it will work out. Trust that God has gone ahead of you. You know, he's in the little details. And then, like I said, sometimes we think he speaks to us in this big voice, but the Holy Spirit is always in you. The Holy Spirit lives inside of you. He will always nudge you. He will always speak to you. Like now, like guys, you can't mess with my gut feeling. I was thinking about something. Yesterday, I had a nudge to pray for my siblings, my parents and stuff, right? Like a nudge, like a big nudge, right? And then I prayed. This morning, I got a call from my mom. She wasn't so great. But I'm like, actually, I countered that with the prayer, you know? So, like, it's in the little things, man. God is always using us and speaking to us. So, another thing that I got from this book is that whether you like it or not, you're always hoping. So you need, at least you have the freedom to create your hope. Yeah, is it create? Yeah, create your hope according to your will. You are able to do that. But if you don't do that, then it means by default you're just hoping that it goes however. And that's the thing. God doesn't like however. God is meticulous. One thing about God, he's a meticulous God. He's a detailed God. God is so meticulous, guys, that there was no mistake in how he made my eyes, my nose, my lips. Like, every single thing had to be the way it is because he knew it had to fit a certain body or a certain a certain lifetime or whatever. But God is very meticulous about his things, right? So it's important that we meet him where he is. You ought to be meticulous about yourself. You ought to be meticulous about your faith, your hope, the things you want to achieve. Yes, sometimes they feel far-fetched. Yes, sometimes they feel impossible, but it's important that you understand that when you're hoping, sometimes all you need is to hope. Once you've hoped, you are able to step up. Once you've stepped up, God is able to step in and show off, you know? So, yeah, guys, it's a brilliant book. It's a beautiful book, right? And when you don't hope or set intention to be hopeful and etc., you actually self-sabotage. You actually put yourself at a disadvantage because now things go however. But at least you have a control of how things go because you've been given the spirit not of timidity, right? Nor of fear, nor of anxiety, but you've been given the spirit of boldness, right? So make sure that you use that spirit, right? Make sure that you're always operating from a place of hope, guys. I don't care who said what or what's happening in your life, but always hope for the best, even when it looks very far off, right? And then also another thing, your expectations. They play a major part. Like, I'm a Christian girly, one thing about me. And one of the things that I've noted, like with many preachers, like online, churches that I've visited and etc., they will say one thing. Have an expectation. What are you expecting? What are you expecting? If you walk into a room without an expectation, honey, you're going to walk out with nothing. The other day I did a video regarding attending events. So I was basically saying how, like, I'm going to attend the Unlimited first. There's also an event that I'm speaking. I'm also attending the Stay-in-Law workshop in 13 days. I'm going to speak there. And I've positioned my heart. I've got expectations. And not to say I want a certain person to come up to me or whatever, but I've got an expectation to say, what is that event going to do for me? What is it going to teach me? How is it going to change my life? So always have an expectation, guys. Do not willy-nilly operate from a place of however, wherever, and I'll take whatever that is given to me. You are doing disservice to yourself, to your dreams, to your aspirations, right? So, and then again, God doesn't just meet you at your expectation. He exceeds it. If you say to God, God, I need 5,000 rand, show me how to do it. God is going to show you how to make 5 million, 5 billion, or even like various streams of income. So it's important that you have some sort of expectation, right? And then when God sees our flaws, our mistakes, he just doesn't leave us hanging. He redirects us to the right route. And one thing that I love about God, being weak, I was reading something that I wrote actually. I don't know if I have it. Okay, I don't have it here. But basically I was saying that it's not just my strengths that are important, but also my weaknesses are important to God because God wants to use them to elevate me. Half the time, God does not use things that are glamorous or things that you think are glamorous to elevate you. Can I tell you a story? Growing up, I was told, Uti, Maponga means a person with a bass, umama bass, basically. So because my voice is very bold, even now it's very bold, but now I really love it because, like, I mean, I love it. I'm confident in it. And now people are like, oh my God, you sound so great. You've got a beautiful voice. But back then, I used to be called Umapong. I didn't think I'd be somewhere doing a podcast, recording videos, possibly doing radio, being a lawyer that requires a lot of speaking, a lot of engaging and all of that. Like, I didn't anticipate those things, but God was like, you think that voice of yours is a mistake? You think that voice of yours is not good enough? Watch me humor you, you know? And I always say that one thing about me, I'll probably be one of the greatest speakers the world has ever experienced. And I say this because I actually did a video about it as well, that I'm hoping that it happens, but also I know that it's going to happen because God is a promise keeper. But I was saying that every single time I have to speak at a very impactful event or a very big event, my voice acts up. You know why it acts up? The enemy is trying me, you know? But we know that greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world, you know? So than he that is in the world. So it's always important that you're hopeful. It's always important that you put your expectations out there. You set them out, and when you set them out, oh boy, you will see God humor you. You will see God elevate you. You will see God move you from one level of glory to another. You will see God do beautiful things for you, right? And then one of my favorite things about this book, guys, it's these QAs at the end of each chapter. I absolutely love them. Ooh, I love these questions. So this is like Hungry for Hope. I really love this because they basically ask you questions. What's the difference between having no expectation and having hope? Which route makes more room for God? When was the last time you tried when was the last time you lived in expectation of something? Think back to that moment. What did it make you feel like? What's something currently in your life you can practice divine expectation with? I'm gonna just share my answers for this one only. The rest you guys have to buy a book and answer for yourselves, because I can't like expose my everything out there in the net, right? So the Q&A, what is the difference between having no expectation and having hope? Which one makes room for God? No expectation means you are just automatically disqualifying yourself. Literally, if you have no expectation, you're disqualifying yourself, you're disqualifying the possibility of a good thing coming out of it. Like, you are just saying it's whatever. You are being careless with yourself, and then you're robbing yourself from being part of your growth, your elevation, and you're giving up the freedom to paint your picture, because hope and expectation helps you paint your own picture. So if you have no expectation whatsoever, you are allowing somebody else or a circumstance to actually paint the picture. So practice having an expectation. I know how we've become a toxic generation where we're like, I don't expect anything. I have no, sweetie, have an expectation in everything, in your career, in your job, in your friendships, in your relationships, romantically, marriages, everything, siblings, whatever. Have an expectation. It's gonna help you a great deal. And then having hope means that you're not sure how it will pan out, but you have divine expectation and trust that God will work out things as they should. Like, you know what, guys? It's always important that you know that things will work out as they should. Like, one of my faves like saying, it will pan out the way it should, or it has panned out the way it should. Do not stress or panic about it, right? When was the last time you lived in expectation, and what did it do for you? Half the time I live in expectation and days are not the same. Sometimes I'm disappointed, sometimes I'm excited, and sometimes it's daunting. And then, yeah, guys, now I'm always expectant. One thing about me, I will wake up and then I'll just enter an Uber and expect that I'll receive a call with good news, or go to an event and expect that I'll bump into my favorite, or I'll get an opportunity to meet them up, ask questions. Like, I always have an expectation. Like, the whole me is built on expectation, if you ask me. Excuse me, guys, there's a bit of a lot happening, so you'll hear background noise. Forgive me for that. And then, what's something currently in your life that you can practice divine expectation? I'm not sure if I should share this. No, I'm not gonna share this. I'm gonna share it in the years to come. And then where I also need to practice divine expectation is Employment Wednesdays. I have this beautiful, massive idea, guys. Also, what I want to do with Employment Wednesdays, like, it's so big in my mind, I can't even pen it down. Like, it's a lot. I have an idea, but I'm not sure how to go about it. And sometimes it really feels slow. And how else am I expecting? I'm expecting via my YouTube channel. So I love those mini questions. It helps you actually track if you understood or got anything from the actual chapter, right? And then also, it says that one thing that I learned is that faith in yourself cannot sustain you. I always say one of my favorite sayings or questions is, people that are not believers in something, guys, utembe. You don't have faith in God, you don't have faith in your ancestors, you don't have faith in anything. The only person, the epitome of your faith is you. Hi guys, maybe like, if you guys can tell me, like, what's your plan? If you don't have hope in God, the highest power, like, you don't have hope in anything else other than yourself, what's your plan? Like, how powerful are you? Because, like, how powerful are you? Like, because for me it's like, let's not make sure. I don't know, because we live in weird times for you to not have faith in something else. It can't sustain you. So you need to pivot your faith to faith in Christ. Yeah, so you need to redirect your faith in you to your faith in Christ, right? God believes in your ability to navigate life that He gave to you. That's why you are breathing. You are alive today because God believes in your ability to navigate this life that we're living in. Literally, there is no other big spontaneous reason. You are alive because God has entrusted you to be able to navigate. We take ourselves for granted and we tend to overthink things and we undermine what we can do, who we are, and all of that. We forget because we think, oh my God, but God gave you that life. He gave you those lungs. You are healthy because God trusts that you will be able to navigate today. you know. And also you need to learn to trust in that ability, the ability that God has given you to navigate, right? And then also, when you think about it, you need to be willing to position yourself for the healing that you're praying for. You need to be willing to position yourself for the blessing that you're praying for. The biggest example in the Bible, we find it in the woman with the issue of blood. That woman, she knew that you were not supposed to be out and about as a person in her state, but she made a plan to position herself. Literally, she had faith. She didn't just stay at home, but she told herself, I have faith, and if I just touch the garment, and mind you, many of us think it was in the touch. No, it was in her belief, because you can go touch the garment right now and nothing happens, but because you believe that if you touch the garment, it's like when we fast and pray, some people are just doing it willy-nilly. Nothing will happen. You won't get any results, but you must have belief. You must have faith that it will work. So it was her faith that moved her. It was her positioning that moved her. So you need to have that as well. So you need to keep your faith even when things are not going your way, even when things are hard, right? I genuinely love Sarah's writing. It's just absolutely beautiful. And then also you need to know that your expectation does transform. That's why you must have it. You must have a good and a positive and an intentional expectation, because expectation can transform into reality, but you have the power to decide how that happens, you know. Yeah, guys. So another thing that we need to always be mindful of, right, is that when we pray for restoration, we pray for healing, we pray for all of these things, we need to know that in the process of healing, in the process of elevating, there will be a certain identity you need to let go. You can't mix, you know that saying that says you can't mix old wine with new wine? Yeah. Also, you can't use your former identity in the new season and in this healed version. You need to be willing to let go. You know, when like a snake, it peels off every season. That's how it operates. Many of us try to use the former faith, the former hope, the former glory. Nah. Ask God to give you a fresh glory, a fresh grace, a fresh favor, a fresh elevation, and a fresh heart and a fresh identity, because your former identity can't carry who you are right now. Like, this is so beautiful. I also love how she went into how it's important, like this is something that society has made a burden on women, whereby they always expect that you're not good enough if you're not married, you're not good enough if you had sex before marriage. And yes, it's wrong to have sex before marriage, but what you need to understand is that as a woman, there's certain things that happen to you because they had to happen. I'm not saying be disobedient, but I love how she articulates the fact that it's good that you must keep yourself pure, but what does purity mean? It's good that you must have faith, but what does faith mean? It's good that you must have hope, but what does hope mean? So she takes us through the process of teaching us how to be hopeful, teaching us how to hold on to faith, teaching us how to live a full and a graceful life. How she talks about balance. It's important to have balance, but also it's important. Actually, she talks about balance there, but she does indicate that balance is an illusion. There isn't going to be a season where everything is flat out balanced, but with balance, this is her definition of balance. She says, my definition of balance is everyone in my family and on my team feeling perfectly attended to and well adjusted to the rhythm of our demanding lives at all times. Additionally, things would also be balanced if I felt well attended to, physically, spiritually, mentally, and perfectly adjusted to the always changing rhythm of my life. I would also like to have financial, emotional, and creative abundance at all times. When I began to define balance in this way, I soon realized that my expectations are unrealistic. So I've given up on that and have settled into a much more attainable definition of balance, right? And then now she says, her husband shares that balance is not a formula for mastering your responsibility. It's a commitment to being fully present. It's a commitment to being fully present as the highest version of yourself in any given moment. So me showing up for this video as my best self, that's balance. You know, it doesn't have to be something so spontaneous that everything is going well in my life. This is balance. Me being able to fully share and being able to be my best self in this video, that is balance. And then she says, with this in mind, I'm better able to serve my environment. If I haven't seen the highest version of myself in days, weeks, months, then I need to check in with the Lord and perhaps my therapist, and maybe also grab a pint of ice cream, some French fries, and a closest hotel where I can recenter. Once I've found myself, I can serve my community with wisdom, discernment, patience, and strategy. That's another thing. You can't serve if you're not in a good state. You can't serve if you're empty. So it's always important that you're in check with self, right? I love how also she talks about how faith is different in different seasons, right? So faith is different when you're devastated. Faith is different when things are going well. So faith is different in different seasons. But she also says that it's important that we don't misplace our faith. It's always important that your faith is placed in the right thing. Also, it's placed in God. So before having a faith in this thing, you must have faith in God, that even if it doesn't work out in your way, you know that God is preparing something good. God is doing what he knows best and what is best for you, right? And then she says the goal is not to allow the faith we have in something take away from whom we have faith in. So don't let your faith in money, growth, success, and all of that take away your faith in God. You must always be centered and always know that your faith in God comes before anything and everything. And then she says it takes a lot of courage to admit that the failure to obtain that thing can also make you lose faith in God. And it happens to all of us, whereby you just feel like you start doubting God because something hasn't happened according to your way, right? And then she says, I've been there. I'm glad to report that it's possible for your faith in God to be restored. It doesn't happen because God gives you a different thing instead. It happens when you realize that even if God did nothing at all, he's been more than mercifully already. So whether or not God is doing things that we want him to do, he's already done what is good for us. He's already done what is in our favor. And then she says, my relationship with God is not predicted on performance. My relationship with God is not predicted on performance, mine or his, none. Don't make your relationship with God be a theater. If you'd like some theater, you go to after, but make sure that your relationship with God it's intentional, it's deliberate, it's fueled. And then she says God is the only. So then she talks about how we are so careless about our dreams, our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings. We just move around. We're carefree. And sometimes we undermine the authority that God has given unto us. The power that God has given in our life. We undermine it because we're just moving like as we please, right? Then she says, God is the only employer where you can clock in and then roll your eyes. I can't roll my eyes. I hope I did it. Anyway, roll your eyes and then do bare minimum and be sent to Jesus instead of the unemployment line. Imagine, because if you do, like how we treat God, our faith, our belief, and all of that, if we did that to our real employers, guys, we would have all been fired. But with God, he's so merciful. Even when we don't do things his way, even when we know the right thing and we still go astray, God is merciful. God is always with us, right? And then assuming a hopeful heart posture that communicates your desire to serve God through the tension to say, God, I'm placing my faith in your plan. Even though I can see and hear my inner despair desiring to rule over me. That's the thing. Always place your faith in God. God's plan is better than yours. And then she says, before I close off, she says, I am a firm believer that God collects every tear, and in time you will witness your miseries give birth to victory. That pain, that tear, whatever that didn't go right, trust that God is collecting every bit of it, and he will turn it for your good. He will make sure that things work together for your good. He will make sure that all things are working in your favor. So don't sleep on yourself. Don't sleep on God. Don't sleep on your hope. Make sure that you're filled with hope. Make sure that you're filled with favor. Guys, like, this book is something else. Like, always make sure. She says, imagine bringing the same level of joy, gratitude, to arriving at work on time after a crazy morning, to getting approved from the home cell after enduring multiple rejections. The problem with hope being overused is not that it becomes common. It's that the victories become common too. In time, we fail to truly acknowledge and savor how often our hopes become reality. Our hopes always become reality, but we take it for granted. You enter the lift, you're like, yo, I'm hoping that there's no traffic. And you get you get on the road, there's no traffic. That's your hope fulfilled, but we take it for granted. We've become familiar. Don't become too familiar with the hope and the grace of God in your life, and you'll watch it work exceedingly and abundantly. Okay. Also speaks about contagious hope, whereby when you have hope, you're able to spread it around. Make sure that you spread hope around those people that are around you, people you love, people you're with, like sometimes, a person's hope is dead, but by virtue of you reminding them, reassuring them, and actually saying things will work out for your good, you're good at this, you'll become better at this, that is you actually lifting them up, right? Lifting up somebody, that is actually you igniting hope. You create a hope, and then once you create that hope, you create an expectation, and once they have that expectation, it then becomes and transforms into reality, So when you have contagious hope, right, you actually help yourself and you help others as well. And with contagious hope, you must always make sure that you do not undermine your small wins. Don't only celebrate the big things and be like, oh my God, I've won 5 million. That's the only time I'm going to celebrate. But also celebrate when you've gotten to work on time. Be thankful. I got to work on time. I'm still in my full body is intact. I've gotten home on time. Just make sure that you're grateful. Make sure that you're igniting hope. Make sure that you're spreading hope. Make sure that you are an epitome of hope. You're an epitome of grace, gratitude. Make sure that you're that person. And then she says, undervaluing the small wins robs us of the assurance and confidence that big wins are on the way. When you are grateful for the small things, and when the small expectations are met, the small hope is coming into a reality, trust, bigger hope is coming up, bigger hope is cooking. So make sure that you do not undervalue the power of the small things as well. And then also she talks about how also sometimes it's important, you have a personal choice to create hope, and you have a personal choice to elevate it, to grow it, to let it live in you. I love how God created us, because he created us in such a manner that he gave us rules to live by, or life principles to live by, but also he gave us authority, freedom, and liberty to operate from a place where we are. You start from wherever you are. So don't feel like you're gonna wake up and be like, I'm hoping for a Range Rover, and feel like, oh my God, it's far-fetched, it's not gonna come. Hope for that Range Rover, but be grateful that you can walk to work. Be grateful that you can take a taxi to work. Have hope. Yes, you want to be a CEO. Yes, I want Trust Employment Wednesdays. Trust Employment Wednesdays is going to be a global brand. It's going to change lives all over the world. It hasn't started doing that, but I have a hope. I'm working on it. I get 10 views, 20 views. I'm working on it. I'm showing up. I'm not stopping posting videos. Every Wednesday, these videos are up. Even if 10 views, 100 views, 50 views, I don't care for that, because I understand that there's a bigger hope, there's a bigger glory, there's a bigger grace. So it's always important that you operate from that place. Operate from a place of abundance, right? And then also it's important to know what you're working with. I always say you can't fix what you don't acknowledge. If this is what you have, it's imperative that you know, I can sing, so let me polish my singing. I speak well. I need to improve my grammar. Let me read more. I'm good at people skills. Let me engage and network more. Let me start doing events. Let me start bringing people together. Know what you're working with. Okay, I'm hoping for a car. Do I have a license? Do you have a license? Maybe not, maybe yes. Okay, I'm hoping for peace and joy. Are you peace? Are you joy? I'm hoping for promotion. What do you have? What does it take for you to get promoted? It's important that you acknowledge where you are, acknowledge where you're starting from, then grow from it, then elevate from it. Our problem, many of us, because it's many of us, we hope for these things, but we don't want to roll the sleeve and get our hands dirty. Be a person that's willing. Know your strengths, know your weaknesses. We don't focus on weaknesses here, just know them and put them there and say, God, do as you please with them. And then with your strengths, you elevate, you grow. You say, God, I can sing. Make sure that I'm one of the greatest singers, but help me sustain that industry. Help me sustain myself. Help me carry it. Position yourself. Bottom line is position yourself. Your blessing is waiting for you to be in position. Right? Know where you are. Know where you're going, you know. It's always important to, if you're in pain, say ouch, Carla, no. If it's painful, don't lie to yourself and cover it and say, oh my God, I'm in the best season of my life. No, honey, if you're, I'm not saying come on the internet and cry and do all of those things. Even Pastor Sarah Robert Jakes is not saying come on the internet and lie and do all and cry and all of these things, right? She's saying be honest and authentic with your feelings. If it's great, jump, whoopee, it's great. If it's not going well, understand it, sit in it, acknowledge it. Because if you don't say ouch, it catches up with you in future. Do you know that there are people who pile ouches? She calls them ouches. Like you pile them. When you crash or exploit, you might not even make it out. You become so broken. So it's always important that you acknowledge where you are. You know, when you acknowledge the circumstance, acknowledge the season, acknowledge the placing, then you're able to operate from the right, accurate hope. You can't ignore where you are and want to say, I'm hoping for a car. Have you thought that you don't have a license? Have you gone and taken driving lessons? You know, it's important to acknowledge where you are, know where you are, you know, grow from where you are, elevate from where you are, right? When you're mad, say it out. When you want to cry, say it out. When you want to lash out, say it out. Just don't harm people, okay? God is not afraid of who you are. God is not afraid of your mess. God is not afraid of your skeletons. God is not afraid of your tantrums. God is not, like, God created you, guys. Like, you know, this warms my heart because it's making me understand something internally. I think it's even a revelation for me. But anyway, God is not afraid of you. You may be a monster to the world. You may be damaged to the world. You may be broken to the world. You may be beyond repair. You're suffering from drug use, drug abuse, alcohol abuse. You're sloppy, you're procrastinating, you're lazy. God is not afraid of that mess. Like, I really wish if people could trust God enough and take that mess and give it to him and see what God can do with that mess. God is not afraid of that mess. God is not afraid. Like, God will use you. Like, I'm in a season where God is using my weight loss journey to encourage people. When I look at my photos and progress, I think, what a mess. But God is not afraid of that fat. God is not afraid of that mess. God is not afraid of those calories. God can take that and use it for good. God can take that and turn it around. You just need to believe it. You just need to understand it, okay? Man, they're even burning. But guys, always let it out. If you don't understand something, let it out. Let it out. You know, there's certain things that happen in my life, losing people, letting go, not understanding, being treated bad and all of that. I go to God and say, God, what is this? Why are you sending these type of people in my life? I ask God questions. You know, God is not afraid. And God tells me, like, oh, you've got a character problem. You had an attitude problem. That's why I send you to that supervisor that was a little bit stricter than your former, because you've got an attitude. Then I'm like, oh, okay. You know, it's important that you ask God your questions. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Ask God questions, eh? And then, guys, and then she says, every moment is brimming with possibility of hope to arise, but only those who are with a trained eye can expose it and bring it forth. Every moment, dark, light, blue, yellow, is your chance to rise. It's your chance to grow. So never ever take it for granted, okay? Never in any time of your life. Put your hope to work. Don't just sit there and hope and be like, I'm hoping for a car. Go get a license. I don't know who I'm talking to. Go get a license. See? When God calls you. So sometimes God will call you and you think you're not prepared. You think you're not equipped. You think you're not qualified. But God has gone ahead of you. He has prepared a good table for you. He has equipped you. From birth, when you were in your mother's womb, he knew you. Right? He's talking to, why am I forgetting him? But he's talking to him. And he says, but I can't do this, but this. And then he says, I knew you before you, when you were in your mother's womb, guys. That's how God knew you from then. So he knows your capability. So when he places you, when he calls you to something, you can't say, I can't. Well, you can say you can't, but you need to understand you can. You are capable. You've been given the tools and the capabilities. God doesn't miss. One thing about God, he's always on time. You know? God will not call you God will not call you to something that your history has not prepared you for in some way. Nah, guys, I need someone, one person, to say there's anything that they've been called to that is not connected to any of their history. I'm waiting to see that person. Because every single thing in our lives, guys, divinely orchestrated, divinely connected. If you want to be honest, sit down, evaluate your life, reflect. You will realize that it's all there. It's always been there. It's always been there. Ooh, love this. And it's also important what you say with your mouth. Guys, your mouth, you can't use your mouth to gossip. You can't use your mouth to say, to curse. You can't use your mouth for those things. Oh, you can, but you know what? I'd rather have you use your mouth to speak life. Speak life to your dreams. Speak to your dreams. Speak to your career. Speak to your money. Speak to your bank balance. Speak to your relationships. Speak to your whole being. Speak to yourself. When you wake up in the morning, good morning, Yvonne, you're so beautiful. When you wake up in the morning, good morning, Yvonne, you're so intelligent. You're capable. You will and you can. No weapons fashioned against you shall prosper. You use your mouth to speak. The power of the tongue. Also, how you speak can actually also ignite hope. Because as I'm speaking to you guys, as I'm sharing with you guys, hope is ignite. Like, my hope is ignited. Like, I'm feeling so hopeful. I'm feeling so alive. I'm feeling so excited. I'm feeling so good. You know? So, yeah. Just always make sure that you do what you're supposed to do. Make sure that you do what you're supposed to do. Don't sleep on yourself. Allow hope to penetrate your life. Allow hope, be sucked into hope that even fear can't touch you. Be so sucked into hope that even negativity is afraid of you. You know, be so sucked in hope and speak life to you that lack, poverty, and all of these things, they're so afraid of you. Like, certain things can't be comfortable in you. Like me now, I always say this thing. This is like a standard rule for me. You can't gossip about my faves around me. I make it so uncomfortable. Like, I'm just that hun. Guys, I make it so uncomfortable. There's no way you can say, you know what, let me start saying mean things about her favorite influencer. You can't. Or her friend, or her friend. You can't, because I make it so uncomfortable. Make certain things in your life uncomfortable. You can't welcome laziness. You can't be comfortable in lateness. Guys, certain things can't stay. They have to go. Okay? They have to go. They have to go. That's that. They just have to go. I enjoyed this book, guys. If you're trying to stimulate your hope, if you're trying to spark your hope, this is the book for you. Hope is not lost. Hope is found. Maybe the first thing you need to do, give your life to Jesus. Or if you don't want to do that, maybe the first thing you need to do is acknowledge that you have an expectation. You have a hope, because your expectation can transform into hope. So do not forget to be love and light, and God bless you. Get this book so that you can enjoy and embrace the lessons that come with it, because it's an absolutely amazing book. Don't forget to be love and light. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment.